Yeah, Lovat-Fraser.
Lovat-Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a McDonald's order.
It is. If you go there and order it, they'll give you a fucking milkshake dumped on top of a fucking double cheeseburger with like one McNugget with a toothpick right on top. Which is weird because I'm fucking vegan, but it's still named after me.
Today I learned. Hi, Mike here with That's Good Enough For Me.com. We're doing our Who's Zoomin' Who series. I'm very stoked to be here with Connor Lovat-Fraser of the band Boys Night Out. I'm super
Hello.
stoked. How you doing?
Good. And how are you?
I'm fantastic. But I'm hungry for milkshakes and burgers and shit now.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
So I reached out to you because I wanted to do kind of the complete history of Boys Night Out. When I discovered Boys Night Out in like 2004, I had a roommate at the time that was a little bit more into like hardcore, thrashy music. And he said, hey, you got to check out this band. Every song is written about a different way to kill their girlfriend. And I was laughing while I was thinking about that introduction because like you guys would get canceled for something like that today for coming out with that sound. But I wanted to hit the ground running. Let's talk about your first demo. That was called You Are My Canvas.
Yeah, and, man.
Just kind of how that initial lineup got started.
Yeah. I mean, so the band started technically in like 99 without me. So it was Jeff and other people. And my old band, Gang of Five Robots, played a show with them. And I knew Jeff from way back. And I really fucking liked them, but they broke up. Jeff and I were in a band together called Gym Class Joke that just kind of petered out at that time. And we were both playing in a band called the Pettit Project. So I was playing guitar and singing. He was playing bass in this band. Scott Comer, who produced Make Yourself Sick and the 4-song demo and 50 Million People Can't Be Wrong, he was also in the band. And I was living at the recording studio, and it was just like, yo, let's jam a couple of those Boys Night Out songs. Let's rework them, retool them completely. So he and I recorded Sketch Artist Composite and Composite, sorry. I always fuck up the name of my own song. And Anatomy of the Journey with just the two of us. So I was singing and playing drums, and Jeff was playing guitar and bass and doing backup vocals. And so we did the two. And we didn't have a band and we didn't know what the fuck we were going to do. But then we ended up recruiting Rob, who was in an old band called Sandwich Mafia with Jeff, and Costa, who was in a band called Ruins with Rob, and Ben Arsenault on drums, who was somebody that we had all known. So we ended up doing Ben wasn't on the 4-song EP. It was Chris Banner, who had just stopped playing in Grade at the time. Cool. And we recorded those 4 songs. We put a couple songs on mp3.com, but right away, lyrically, I mean, I've always had this obsession with serial killers and what makes fucking psychos tick. And granted, I'm wired fucking different. I don't have the same feelings as other boys and girls. So it was always fascinating to me. So I just started writing, and it came out as this fucking murder punk rock. And we just kind of went with it. We put the auto-tune way the fuck up, so I sounded like a robot and I couldn't sing. And just kind of went with it, man. And it really did end up that way, being just all about murder or getting killed or getting beat up, doing drugs.
It was fun. And fucking listened to Real Big Fish the other day, right? So I'm unapologetically listening to it. I've always been a fan of taking upbeat music, like hype, fun music, and putting just fucking really depressing or scary lyrics to it. And that was what drew me to the band in the first place. I'll never forget, I played it for a guy that played guitar and sang in a band with me. And he said, he's like, better bring a baseball bat or better. I was like, yeah, that's a line. And he was like, that's a line. He's like, Mikey, that's called alliteration. He's like, put that in your like chest of goodies when you're writing a song. And it resonated. And I obsessed with alliteration for a while. And I also liked that, and we're now moving on to, Make Yourself Sick. This very keen production value that you guys kind of kept going. That record doesn't sound the same throughout. There's a lot of different sequencing and programming, pop punk, metal riffs. Yep. I like that you were suddenly doing it all. That being said, I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but you guys got a very, very angrily worded message from a kid, I think, on MySpace. It was this big, long-winded thing about how you started singing and you used to be hard, and now you're these big pussy. Yeah. And I think it ended with like, so when you're scrambling to get all of your merch out of a fire that used to be your tent at Warped Tour, and you look over and you see a kid holding a match and a shirt that says "Boys Night Out Sucks," know that it was me, or something like that.
Jesus Christ, I don't even remember that.
So you had shared, someone in your band had shared it on your like bio on your MySpace.
Probably. That sounds like something we would do.
And it was great because it was like, Boys Night Out, profile picture, and then your bio is just this really shitty letter that this kid had written you. This is at a time that the like Broken Bones style, where it was just kind of hardcore the whole time. This was at a time that genre, that specific hardcore genre, at least for me in my region, just continued to bloat and bloat until everything sounded the same and it was just miserable.
Yep.
And so I was proud of you for maybe recognizing that enough to want to put out a record that had a little bit more memorable material to it and moments. And good job. Great record.
Thanks, man. Honestly, but it was more reflective of just like we all listened to really heavy music. We had all been in really heavy bands, but Jeff and I were in a pop, like synth pop band just before doing Boys Night Out, and I always loved pop music, and it just made sense. But then we loved other bands like Lifetime, and like bands like fucking Braid, Cap'n Jazz, and all that stuff. So it just kind of made sense. And usually when I was screaming, it wasn't because I was trying to make a point. It was more like, I can't think of anything that's remotely in my range, so I'm just going to scream it. It was less finesse, more just like utility. Like, I'm going to scream this. But yeah, it was just fun, man. We would just write for the sake of writing, if that makes sense. It certainly wasn't a conscious choice. I mean, it became a conscious choice to drop the screaming for the most part later on. But at that time, it was just like, now we want to write some more skate punk style bits, or now we want to do this or that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I mean, as a listener, I definitely heard you learn how to sing over the course of the band's lifetime. But all things, all jokes aside, and all mentionings of autotune and all the production stuff that every band is still using to this day, you and Jeff have really just a good blend when you're singing together and screaming together. And it was something that couldn't really be faked as easily as it can now. Now you can take two vocalists and piggyback them together and use vocal line and move around consonants and make it so that they sound like they belong. But you guys always sounded like an amazing team when you sang together. And
Dude, thank you.
And
that's very kind. I don't know. I was used to compliments.
I was obsessed with like multi vocalist bands and stuff, and there was always like,
man.
Like, I'm a huge fan of Homegrown. They were like one of my favorite pop punk bands growing up.
Love Homegrown.
I've gotten to interview Adam Lorbach a bunch of times. He was a better singer and a better songwriter than Johnny Trash. Johnny Trash was great. He was awesome. But when when bands had the multiple singers sing, what I always found was people were like, oh, I hate this guy, or I prefer this guy.
Yeah.
You're like team Danny Driano or team Matt Skiba, and it was this like ride or die thing. whereas you guys just sang in parallels and continue to get better at it. So.
Oh yeah, say to the point, fucking yeah, like bands like D4, fucking same sort of thing. I know people that fucking go back and forth between whose vocals they can stand, and I think the us singing together came more from the pop end of things, where the band that we were in prior to Boys Night Out, it was a lot of call and answer vocal lines, and then harmonizing the one part. We're just playing off of each other. Or instead of, I mean, what a lot of people were doing is having one person doing clean vocals, the other person doing screaming, which worked really well for a lot of bands. But for us, it was really all just learning on the fucking fly.
Oh, like, for sure.
I don't know. That was the best part about it.
So when you said you were living at the studio during these beginning times, were you physically living in a studio that you kind of had access to fuck around at whenever you wanted to?
When I lived at a house with Scott Comer, again, who like produced Make Yourself Sick and everything. So the house, he had a recording studio in the basement, and he recorded a ton of bands at that time in the area. Like the Full Blast was another band from our area. He recorded them and like all sorts of fucking bands. So we always just had the studio. It was right there whenever we wanted it. And he was always down to fuck around or write ridiculous songs for no reason. I'm sure there's a ton of shit that exists somewhere on a random hard drive that just hasn't been heard for years. And I would love to get my hands on that shit. But yeah, it made it easy to write and enjoy it.
I think that kind of goes to show how Make Yourself Sick ended up being such a ride, because most bands up and coming playing that genre of music, you know, your money's on fire when you're in the studio. So you might have a band member that's creative enough to be like, hey, I was thinking maybe we could put acoustic on this song and maybe some piano or something, and have everybody veto it away because they're like, dude, that's going to take so much extra time.
Clock's ticking.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, and obviously you hit the road pretty hard around time. I wanted to talk about how tour, you know, living in a fucking van, and how that transitioned into the concept of Trainwreck, and also just how did the addition of new members and all of that stuff blossom out of this rise in popularity, and this what I'm going to quote Ed from That's Good Enough for Me. A lot of concept records came out that around that 2-year period. I mean, we had like American Idiot and Black Parade by My Chemical Romance and all this shit. Ed is noted, and I'm going to agree with him, that Trainwreck was one of the Trainwreck's concept was so fucking sweet that I think it might have scared some people. Let's go from there.
All in all, it wasn't like, to me, even to this day, I don't think it's that insane. I mean, there's the one part in composing that, which is, I guess, why I didn't get any radio play. We're like, let's do this as a single. But there's a part about banging dead bodies that people just frown upon. They don't have the palate for it. I know. They're beautiful, beautiful corpses, just begging to be loved one last time. And yeah, I don't know. It was, I guess, we were just touring so hard, and shit was wild. And it was all in a van. And like, you know, we had played Warped Tour, and you know, for anybody that's played Warped Tour or, you know, has friends in bands or whatever the fuck, like it's a hard fucking tour. And when you're a baby band, which is what everybody on production teams made sure we knew that we were. It's like, the fucking baby bands, you park over here. It's a hard tour, and it's tons of fun because it's Warped Tour, but like it's work. It's one of the like hardest working tours you do. But you know, we toured, and Ben left the band, and you know, we knew Brian from one of our first US tours, being with For Dire Life's Sake. So we became really fast friends through mp3.com, like back in the very beginning with For Dire Life's Sake. And when it came out, Brian, who was playing guitar for them, was down. He was totally down to play drums and take over for Ben. And he had experience with Kara, and she had done some stuff with For Our Life's Sake, and they had done other things together. And so Kara came on and was like, okay, well, let's write keyboard parts and have this amazing female voice be the dead wife character. And it was just wild. And it all stemmed from a short story that Jeff wrote randomly. And then he and I crafted it together into 12 basically chapters and wrote the fucking thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm happy to clear the air about that. I always just assumed that you ditched your drummer for some reason. You're like, oh, fuck you. And then Brian came and joined, and then you asked him to come back with his tail between his legs when he came back.
Like, you can come back now. No, Ben left. Touring, it weighs hard on a lot of people. It's not a life for everybody. And it wasn't for him at the end of, because we were gone 10 months out of the year. It's not an easy life. There's very little money in it when you're especially at that level.
Yeah.
And he wanted to just have a more stable life, and fucking Ben was always like my little brother. The first band I was ever in was with his older brother. So I had known Ben forever. It's just, yeah, man, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Like, no hard feelings. Love you, man. Do what you got to do. And then Brian stepped in and like, he fucking did an amazing job.
Yeah.
No fucking secret that the drums on Trainwreck are fucking outstanding.
Yeah, very much so. And this was around the times that, if you were on an independent tour, I did this a lot, where there would be a Warped in the city that we were passing through. You could just go park, as long as you had like a trucker hat and skinny jeans. You could park. I could park like next to your van and just carry some gear in, and hopefully get a show on Does or something. I try to make a point of my interview series to be like more like, so how'd you guys come up with your band name? Like, not to like ask questions like that, because I've gotten interviewed the same 4 questions anytime I ever got interviewed for anything, and it was annoying. I was trying to, do some research, and I saw an interview of you and Jeff, and I think it was some college students or something, and they were sweet. They were interviewing you guys, I think maybe in a trailer outside of Warped or something.
Okay, I might know the one you're talking about.
You guys were like troopers and like good dudes. You were super friendly and you answered all their questions, but I could just see the like sunstroke in the back of your eyes. You're just like, fuck me sideways. At least this room has air conditioning in it while I'm answering. Like, so how did you guys come up with your sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really live. So to watch that now as an adult and somebody that has a family and air conditioning and health insurance, it's funny that the reactionary thought as like a 20-year-old listener of a band, when somebody quits the band, you're like, fucking quitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny. And I'm assuming a lot of your fans were defensive about certain members coming and going. And then to look at it all later and just being like, do you really blame them? Like, how many times would it have been awesome to go home and go swimming with your family?
My God, man. If to have such an option. But like, there was no way to really do anything right at that time. Unless you were making the same album every single time, with no member changes and nothing outside of just like putting out music and just appearing to be perfectly happy with everything all the time. There was no way to do it right. You add a different element to it. It's like, you fucking sold out. If you do whatever, somebody's going to attack you for something. And that's what we loved. That's why we had the message board, because we loved the attacks. There was a certain like beautiful comedy to just taking that criticism. And I honestly don't think if you take yourself too fucking seriously, you probably shouldn't be in a band.
Yep.
Because everybody's got a voice and they're going to tear you to fucking shreds. That's just how it is. So we made fun of ourselves before anybody else made fun of us. Because it's ridiculous.
That was the thing. When Jeff, the founder of this website that I do interviews with, we first met because we both reviewed records on Punk News, and he was like, "Why do you want to write Punk News?" And I said, "I want to give a good rating to a newer Sum 41 record or something, and have the message board people call me like an asshole." Like, to me, that
attaboy.
Love it. And I remember pissing myself looking at your message board and just some of the shit on your mind. And when Trainwreck came out, it was strange because it was so adult and so like obnoxiously violent and morbid. But the majority of the comments were from people that were just like, "He's singing like a pussy. You guys used to be tough."
Yeah, big time.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, read the lyrics, man.
We're never tough."
This is
also
dark.
We were never tough. Oh yeah, dark, sure. But there's no part of me that was ever a tough guy.
So Jeff, Jeff Sorley said, "All right, so what's this Boys Not Out band?" Because our writer Ed had really nice things to say about you guys. And I said, "Oh, you got to check out their record, man. It's about this guy that kills his wife in his sleep. He cuts off his hands, and then he dies at the end. Like, and there's a guy talking. There's a psychiatrist talking, and Jeff was like, I'm gonna just let you go listen to that some more." Like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. So next week we have the DVD with the horrible documentary that I watched for the first time because it's free on YouTube. And
you got through it, eh? You got through it all the way.
I mean, there was some bourbon involved, and I got a little foggy, so I can't.
Attaboy.
Completed it. I was a big fan of the band breaking up and then them having an interview with you where you're showing off your new like EDM project that you were doing.
Yep.
But so that was interesting. And I said this before we were rolling, but the mockumentary is about the band breaking up and you guys all saying really terrible things about each other while being maybe some of the best actors I've ever witnessed.
Probably, the best.
And then Brian actually quit the band. So I said, "Man, like, he wasn't acting."
Honestly, there was probably like these little nuggets of truth in there that like just kind of made their way to the surface. Who knows? And that all started as a joke because we're like, what if we filmed ourselves playing shows saying that these were our last shows and just filmed the reactions with no context or anything? And then our friends, Maddie and Simon, were like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's make a mockumentary." I'm like, "All right, can you act? No. You? No. All right, perfect. So we'll just improv the whole thing. All right."
Well, that was the thing. I was like, okay, so it gave me some like, I like Spinal Tap. I like all the shit that those dudes do, and like, but it gave me kind of more Blair Witch vibes. Like I was just waiting for something very strange to happen. But so we have the departure of Kara, who got engaged very around that time and quit.
Yep.
And Brian left. One, you're doing 50 Million People Can't Be Wrong. What does that mean?
Because there had been so many other number people can't be wrong, from Bob Dylan to Nickelback. And then we just kept bumping the number higher. Okay. And that was it. It was really just a play.
I was like, oh, they don't have 50 million friends on MySpace, I don't think. So I was trying to figure out.
God, no.
They absolutely have never had 50 million plays.
Not a fucking chance.
But I wanted to
just a completely arbitrary number.
that EP kind of hones another kind of reinvention of what Boys Night Out is, with Ben coming back.
Yep.
And I wanted to talk about, not only do we have some good demos that we're going to be on the self-titled that came out shortly after, but you revisited some Broken Bones songs and reworked them so that they were melodic, and that made me, super stoked to kind of just see that full circle.
It was fun, man. And it was honestly, it was just to do. Again, it was just another, like, basically exercise. It was like, okay, well, let's cover our own songs. basically. And like just try him a different basically that was it. Let's cover our own songs and see where it goes. And that's all it was really just like an exercise in like reworking songs. It was, and I fucking loved it. I love that version of Sketch Artist.
Yeah. And Victor versus the Victim. That's the Tooth Against Bone lyric, right? Yep. That song probably up there at the top for me. And so it's interesting to be like, oh well, now I can never listen to the originals of these because I don't care anymore. Now that they have all this new life and melody and stuff. But yeah, it was around that time that I had been given an opportunity to actually see you guys perform. You did like Nintendo Fusion. Oh no! You actually made it through the Midwest. And
was it you saw us on the Fusion tour, eh?
Yeah. So
oh man,
you remember a guy named Evan Bovey that was the guitar tech for like Plain White T's? He's a good friend of mine. And so
fucking Evan was awesome.
Yeah, he's still at it. He's on tour with Miley Cyrus right now. So like,
oh man,
he fucking made it as a guitar tech. And
yeah, he did. You know what? We got along more with Evan than we did with like any of the other bands. It was like Evan was just like the dude.
Yeah, he's super sweet, and he has a little girl, which is by total coincidence. My daughter's name is Lennon, like John Lennon. We call her Len and Lenny. His daughter's name is Wren, W-R-E-N. And so Wren and Len have never hung out before because they live in southern Missouri and I'm in Lincoln. But yeah, so we talk all the time about getting our kids together to start like the shittiest pop punk band of all time at some point. And nice. But yeah, he's I can't bring up his name without people saying super sweet things about him. But it also gave me, as you know, I've never been like, can I take my photo with this band that I really like? But I got to meet you guys and I was like, this is killer. What happened to Brian? And you were like, your guess is as good as mine.
and the honest truth is that I still don't entirely know. Is that I was told that he had called Jeff and quit the band, and I'm not the kind of guy to inquire. I'm just like, okay, well, if there's a situation, I'm like, okay, well, that's the reality. Let's go.
Well, given how killer Ben's comeback was on the self-titled record, and I'm just for the official history of Boys Not Out here on this YouTube video, I'm just going to say that Brian didn't want to fuck with perfection. He did such a good job with Trainwreck that it's just like, let's just cut it there. Because again,
perfect,
immaculately perfect on drums. That being said, and getting into the self-titled record, it's almost as if Ben kind of took some cues from what Brian was doing and started incorporating it into the songs. He was always stylistically following Jeff's crazy guitar parts and stuff, but the self-titled record takes it to a brand new level. And I wanted to talk about the writing and production of that.
Yeah. Having Ben back in the band was so awesome because of the history. He was already there. So like Ben, Jeff, Dave, and Rob ultimately, but Ben, Jeff, and Dave play together amazing. They just like, there's this jazz-like anticipation of what they know what the fuck the next person is going to do. We just write it and go from there. But writing those songs was coming off of Trainwreck, which was a fucking job. A fun job, but I mean, there's a lot more thought that goes into writing an album like Trainwreck in making sure all the pieces fit than there is. We're like, we just got to write a fucking album of songs that we want to hear. Let's do some more fucking double time stuff. Let's have some more just like pop style shit going on and just sing about whatever the fuck. And I had complete freedom just to write whatever I wanted to. So it was definitely a breath of fresh air to just be able to go and write and be like, hey, I did a bunch of drugs during this time. It was a wild time. Kind of feeling burnt out now. Holy shit, my neighbors are fucking assholes. This is cool. Oh man, I've done a bunch of opium lately. Let's write that down. Like just, and that's it. It was that album is basically a fucking journal, which is wild to me. Like, because I to go back and read that, and some of my favorite lyrics that I've ever written, and like, it are on that album for sure. And it's some of the most honest shit that I ever wrote, which makes me cringe a little bit. But like, yeah, it's I love that album.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it. It was very exciting, and I think while Trainwreck is this incredible journey that you want to revisit time and time again, you couldn't really pop open a Boys Night Out song from Trainwreck. You kind of had to go for the whole ride. And
for sure. No, you did it. You did it.
But yeah, this self-titled record was just like, I'm going to grab these 3 songs. I'm going to visit them. You were really angry at the cold during that time too. I think there's maybe 4 songs.
Fucking Canada.
How cold it is. And I'm like, you're in Canada, bro. Drive south.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know where I was. I was on so many drugs.
Now, yeah. So I've been out of all the music as I've been anticipating this and spinning your records and stuff. The self-titled is the one where I'm just like, this is standard Boys Night Out, and it kind of shows the whole evolution, how you got there, and yeah, you brought back some double time and stuff, which I was a fan of. And back to the fucking drummer thing, though. And now that I'm just thinking about it, I interviewed Steve from Belvedere, and I got to talk to some people from Propaganda. What is with this Canadian drummer playing this impossible busy shit all the time?
I have no answer for you, but you get fucking bands like Choke and Full Blast for sure. And Andy, who is drummer for Full Blast, he played guitar on the self-titled, but I don't know if you're familiar with the Full Blast or if you want to hear some fucking impossible drumming. It's Brian, bass player from Wilhelm Scream. He was the bass player in Full Blast. And if you want to hear some fucking insane drum and bass chaos, listen to Full Blast because it's fucking outstanding. But I don't know. I don't know what Canadians were doing. We were just like, we could just groove it out, but check this out. Yeah, what if we make it almost impossible to follow?
No, and I'm not trying to generalize a region or anything, but like, the Orange County punk rock drummer, there's definitely a style there,
Sure.
Between all of those Fat Rack Epitaph drummers, where they all kind of learn different shit from each other, and it's just morphed into just like, this is how you play West Coast California punk rock drums. And it wasn't until I started thinking about some of those drum parts on the self-titled that I was like, oh shit, they have a totally different flavor in Canada that's fueled by drugs and frigid cold or something.
You got to keep warm, so you keep it as complicated as fucking possible.
So this is my nerd flex, right? So I was super excited to watch the Up With Me music video again because I remembered really liking it.
Oh yeah.
And one, Ferret uploaded like a really shitty version of it for some reason. Like the audio.
Isn't it only available on like 320p or something like that? Or I don't even know.
Well, it's on YouTube, but the audio sounds like it's like a 96 bitrate MP3.
Yeah.
So I'm such a fucking dork, and I wanted to watch it, and I wanted to watch it the right way. That I had your song queued up on my iTunes, and I had the YouTube video muted, and I sunk it up after that drum fill so that I could watch the video.
Nice.
And then a fucking advertisement came on halfway through the video.
Halfway through wow, Jesus Christ.
YouTube is doing that shit now. But concept of the video is pretty simple. You guys are trying to have band practice and live your lives, and the skeletons in your closet, we'll call them, which are just plain clothes people wearing identical skeleton masks. A bunch of chaos. Who the hell were all those guys in the masks? Were they just like your buddies?
Oh, absolutely, man. That's it. It was all of our friends and when we toured, we would always bring a ton of our friends with us just because all of our friends were in positions where they could just pick up and leave and do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fucking bands hated it because we would roll up with like 10 people with us, and we certainly weren't getting paid enough to pay 10 people. But it was like, so these are just friends that are there to drink all the other band's booze and fuck shit up and just go hard. And these are still our best friends to this day. The people that were in that video, to the point where we're going on a fucking little trip in Jesus in a few weeks. Yeah, it was just friends to come on in and wear skeletons and fucking hang out with me while I Frenched my girlfriend at the time.
Okay, yeah. My wife thought that was a little much. He was like, man, they're really going for it.
Yeah. Yep. Put that in the video. Perfect.
What I was going to do is I was going to rip your video off of YouTube, and then I was going to fix the audio, give you a new version so you could post it to your Instagram. But now I might like blur out that whole makeout session.
That's probably for the best.
Put some censor bars or something so your little girl can watch it. I hate you.
She's seen worse. Plus, I mean, you know, Warner might sue us if we put up a version, so probably can't do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes, let's see. I'm in.
I'll do it without mentioning it to you. I said something like that to I interviewed the Matt who drums for Less Than Jake now, but he used to be in the band the Teen Idols. You remember them?
Fuck yeah, I remember Teen Idols.
So I'm on there with Chris DeMakes and Matt. And Chris, I feel like an asshole because, you know, I'm partying and it's COVID quarantines. I had fucking Chris DeMakes on my show, and I spent like 12 minutes talking to Matt about the Teen Idols while he just sat there just like, what the fuck, man?
Attaboy. That's how you do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I forget what I was even getting at, but whatever. Oh, no. So
I'll talk about Less Than Jake for hours.
I said, Matt, there's a Teen Idols. They did one record with another singer right before they broke up. I think they broke up like the day the CD came out. So that record isn't on any of the streaming sites. Nothing to Prove is what it's called. And the new singer had kind of a cool, different voice than the other guy. And I think the other guy left the band in a very not amicable way. So I said, hey, man, put it on Spotify. And he said, I don't know what the record labels would do. I'm like, we'll just do it and find out. So
I like it.
So let's talk about the amount of time that spent between. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, Black Dogs came out way later than
9 years.
Yeah, I guess it didn't feel like that much of a gap at the time, but now I'm thinking about all the things that time period. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the itch to do some more songs and how that all kind of came together.
That came together because Jeff and I had been involved in a project called Hard Calibers after Boys Night Out broke up, and so again, it was me, Jeff, and Scott Comer, and it was primarily Jeff and Scott. So you know, Jeff wrote all the songs, he sang all the songs. Comer played bass, produced the whole thing. And then I jumped in and wrote one pop punk song and sang on it and put it out as Hard Calibers. And we never really released it, but it exists for download. And so, you know, Jeff would keep sending me songs that he had written. And at some point we were like, okay, well, why don't we just jam this as a whole band? And it turned out that the whole band we got was Ben and Dave. Because who else? And I've told the story a bunch of times, but it was never originally meant to be a Boys Night Out anything. We were just writing it to be maybe Hard Calibers, maybe something else. But as soon as the vocal lines started going in and everything kind of like had its sound, and Dave's bass playing is unmistakably Dave's bass playing, they were Boys Night Out songs. That like you could hear where it went from self-titled to that, and we're like, fuck, we have to put it out as Boys Night Out. And it was tough because we knew right off the bat that we weren't going to fucking play any shows. and we weren't going to tour. But thankfully, Good Fight, who rose from the ashes of Ferret, agreed to put it out. And they really wanted us to tour and play shows. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We just wanted to write some songs. And they were cool enough to put it out. But making that was fucking crazy. Like my daughter still hadn't been born. Jeff's first kid, like she had just been born. And we were in a very different space. And I mean, I was running a tattoo shop and everybody was doing their own stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, I still really like writing about drugs and stuff. So I'm just going to write what I know. And Black Dogs I thought was a pretty fucking rad album.
Yeah.
but it didn't get a lot of love when it came out at all. And I'm not too surprised, but we also didn't tour it.
Yeah. Yeah. When when Of Waves like fucking jams on with Jeff's hammer on, clean lead shit that he got so amazingly good at over the years, I was like, shit, this is good. And then I immediately
thank you minus the bear and botch.
Yeah. Listen to that one record once and it just changes you forever. Right?
Big time.
But I did have that my reaction as like I was like, fucking, I'm married, I bought a house, and I was like gonna take a shower, and I was like, there's new Boys I Know. I'm gonna listen to this and take a shower because I'm an old man.
That's what you want when you're naked and wet.
I was just thinking about a bunch of hairy Canadian dudes.
Yeah,
and
rightfully so.
Of Waves came on, and I was like, one, this shit rips. B, they're not gonna tour. They're not gonna play a show probably. C, this is over. It's just an EP, you know. But
all correct, fucking 100%.
But what I try to urge, you know, and I'm not going to beg you guys to do another one, but what I try to urge the people that are upset about artists that get together and do one song, you know, come out of nowhere. You guys are still friends. You guys are going to be friends forever. So it's like, is it really so bad for them to give us one song or 4 songs in this age now where you can distro yourself, you put everything on digital streaming sites, and it's going to be there after you all die. And that's kind of sweet, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be there in 5-6 years. Absolutely. But like Ben and I were talking about this the other day. Ben and I just fucking texted back and forth. It's like, all right, well, let's write some fucking songs. All right, let's write some fucking songs.
Yeah.
And that's the dialogue between everybody. Is like,
when I think people I think your one update was like, if we came out with more songs right now, they would suck. I think that's what you said on like Twitter. And so I read that as like, we don't feel like we're just the spark isn't there right now, and it's not a big deal. But I think to a non-musician or something, it's just like, he thinks his band sucks, you know.
No, yeah, it's just it would though. Like if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it and make sure we have time to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, fuck, I write silly ass pop punk songs with my daughter and put those up. You know what I mean? Like those exist. Are those Boys Night Out songs? Oh, fuck no. But, you know, getting all of us to have the same amount of time and put something together, it takes a lot of fucking work. And we all want to do it. But I can't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I never thought fucking Black Dogs would come out either. I never expected that to be a thing. And it happened very quickly. I mean, from the time Jeff sent me one of the songs, it was just a couple months until we had 6 songs written. And originally that was going to be another concept record, but we're like, yeah, it's fucking, let's take it easy, Psycho.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I would encourage you to, if you feel the itch, that you should do it, man. Because it's going to be, be good. But I'm also, you know, my group text of my old defunct band that has been memes and fart jokes for the last couple of years is now a group text about us practicing for this show that we're apparently doing in a month and a half. And
I'm sorry, go on.
Well, the love and the memes and the fart jokes, they're fun. And when it becomes, when can you practice? Any day, but no days. I have to work. Once your dialogue turns back into the band mode, it's kind of like, I hate working with these guys, man. all those little things that you used to like fight to the death in a tour, man, about like just come completely back. Or it's like,
yes.
2 months ago, we were in each other's wedding parties and we were just reminiscing and everything was beautiful. We were best friends again. And now, you fast forward, we're arguing about rehearsal time and what songs we're going to play. Like, it just all rushing back.
Oh yeah, it's funny. And you become kind of like clueless and like miscues. And I'm just like looking back through text and like when Ben texted me on the weekend, because I have a band that I'm in now called Pale Drone, and which is members of New Day Rising. I don't know if you ever heard of that band, but that was like another Canadian hardcore band from the 90s. And we just play heavy fucking music. But so Ben texted me just asking, hey, do you guys still have your jam space downtown? I'm like, yeah, man, it's great. They're closing down all over the place. We still have ours. And he's just like, cool. Like, he's probably wanting me to say, like, yeah, we can totally jam there whenever we want. So, Ben, I'm sorry that I don't pick up on social cues. I'm not good at it.
Well, and these relationships,
you have to be blunt.
Well, and that's what I try to tell people that haven't shared a twin mattress with two other guys in a Walmart parking lot is like, I'm married and I love my wife and I love my daughter, but like the bonds and the weird dramatic relationship that I have with my old bandmates is like, nothing will ever break it. We had to share a shot of Everclear to go to sleep in the heat, Oh,
I miss Everclear. Oh man.
I guess I could say I miss the band.
Yeah, okay, that's probably more accurate.
I've taken this interview too far. Now I'm talking about Everclear, the band.
Go on. Let's go.
I think that Everclear was a good band at one point. I'm just going to say it.
Interesting. Build on that. What makes you say such things?
They have a song called Summerland about like taking your lover and you stop fighting and you stop worrying about your grind and you just go driving around with a big bottle of wine that you're sharing in your car. And they did an acoustic version of it on some record label music compilation that had a rare Weezer
I didn't
song.
hear that fucking acoustic version.
That song's good.
I want to hear it. Nice.
I'll fight anybody to the death to defend that one.
Right.
It doesn't make me want to kill myself. But rad. Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for giving me the time today. I think that this was a pretty complete history of Boys Night Out. What do you think?
I feel good about it.
There's a lot of hope there at the end.
Oh yeah, we're getting together tomorrow to write a record.
Oh, cool. You should.
Shit, I didn't say that in time. I should have built on that. Yeah, we're getting together tomorrow to write a record. That's not happening.